All right, well, it looks like we have most people who signed up present, so we can get things started. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us this week. This is our 10th social hour, I believe, 10th. We're in double digits, so really excited about that. And this week, we're going to continue our conversation around restaurants reopening and the experiences that everyone is going through right now. So Lisa and I will be your moderators this week. I'm Kate Kennedy. I'm the customer marketing manager at Triple C. And Lisa, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Lisa Tevis. I'm the hotel marketing manager on the team at Triple C.
And then anyone else at Triple C that wants to introduce themselves before we get started?
Yeah, hi, I'm Chelsea. I am based in Las Vegas, and I am the account manager for part of the Western Territory.
Hi guys, I'm Leita Younger, and I'm the VP of Marketing. I am based out of New Jersey, right outside of New York City. And that's it.
I'm Rachel Calkins. I'm the marketing coordinator at Triple C.
Hi, I'm Azure Collier. I'm the content marketing director, and I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
I'm Whitney Edwards. I am one of our national account managers, and I also oversee Tennessee, and that is where I am based in Nashville.
And I think that's everyone. I have 2 pages here, so I'm not sure, but I think I got everyone. All right, so we're going to kick off the conversation this week to start talking about who has reopened and how everyone's doing and how sales are going and everything around that. Rachel, if you want to get that first poll going so we can just get an idea of how many people have opened.
Should have launched.
Launched.
There's 3 questions on there about reopening, outdoor dining, and about your bar space.
So as you guys are filling that out, just a few things. We'd love to hear from as many of you as possible. So please jump in if you have anything to share or if you have any questions, of course. If you're camera shy and you don't like to talk out loud, then you can just post your questions in the comment section and we'll moderate those as well. If you do decide to speak up, please remember to give a quick intro about who you are and where you work, what state you're from, that kind of thing. So let's see, the poll, is it still going or?
I'm sharing the results now.
All right. Wow, 67% this week have opened, which is awesome. I know there's only like 17 of us this week, but still. I think that's exciting. And then 67% also said that they have the option for outdoor dining. And then bar spaces, 56% no, but there are some people, 33%, who said that they are allowed to open their for bar. So eventually I'd love to hear from you guys too, because that's a new thing and a lot of states haven't allowed that yet. Anyone who's reopened want to start the conversation and tell us how things are going?
Sure. Hi, I'm Nicole with Tao Group in Las Vegas. We actually have only been able to open one of our restaurants. The other ones, we don't have any set date so far, but we're really excited about Beauty and Esthetics opening tomorrow. We're actually sold out for our first opening day.
That's amazing.
I was so shocked. I was a total naysayer and I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have like 10 covers. No, we are capped at 250. So we had to obviously lower everything, but we're super excited about it. We were able to bring back very limited staff, but at least we have some people back. And our hotel actually at the Cosmopolitan, they're not doing the temperature checks and the plexiglass for guests, but for staff they are, which I think is at least good, one extra step. So all of our staff will wear masks. We have a huge, I know Rebecca at Zuma was kind of talking about her husband's restaurant Black Tap at the Venetian with the block scheduling. It's such an amazing idea, and so we're doing that as well, just to make sure that we're not contaminating. That's a really crappy thing to say, but contaminating the whole staff. You know what I mean? So infecting unnecessary amounts of people. But and we also are doing a limited menu, and it's going to be throwaway menu, which is great. We're trying to work on some kind of payment to do like contactless payment. As of yesterday, we hadn't figured that part out yet. So that's just kind of the last piece, but it's been really good. You know, with group dining, unfortunately, that's not happening right now. It's really just social, and even for groups, we can only have, I think it's 8 people maximum at a table. And so my department is 13 or more. So that's kind of bummer for us, but we're hoping within the next, like maybe even month, that more of the restrictions will go down as things start to get better. We actually just sent out a contract for a venue buyout for June 15th, I believe. No, June 20th, something like that. It's only for 30 people, but you know, we were like, okay, perfect, let's do a buyout. And they had the money for it. So that's exciting. Like I feel so positive. I was so negative earlier in the week thinking this opening is going to be so hard, but there's so much demand right now. So I think that especially in Vegas, we're really going to start to pick up, which is great.
Nicole,
Sorry.
go ahead, Chelsea.
I was just going to say, just to kind of piggyback off of that, I'm based in Las Vegas as well, and actually went out last night, and I've been going out cautiously, but definitely going out. And one of my best friends is, she sings, and at one of our other customers, they performed on the patio. The patio was sold out, restaurant was sold out. I mean, people are out, they're ready. Gaming started last night. You know, people are definitely ready to get out of the house, and I was not as optimistic either at the beginning of the week, but just seeing how excited people were and how happy people were and really embracing like the hospitality community, because that really is the heartbeat of Vegas. It was just really, it was so nice to see, and everybody was just so excited.
I'm Whitney. I'm from Nashville as well. Hello, Whitney Edwards. And we opened about 3 weeks ago. Almost all of our restaurants. We still have one that is still closed. But I have seen an uptick this week in inquiries. So I have also been very depressed for several months. Nicole, I feel your pain. But started to get some inquiries this week. People are starting to plan ahead. I've actually got some pharmaceutical companies that have reached out to find out what kind of precautions we're taking, and actually one that booked this morning for September. So that's huge. But I think people are trying to get out. Unfortunately, we are now stuck in phase 2 from what I understand for now. And with the riots, that's been a little bit to deal with as well, because we have had to close some of our restaurants early because of curfews and those types of things. But I am starting to see an uptick on inquiries coming through, and that to me, that's like, as we all know, our livelihood. So it's very exciting. That's all I have to say.
Well, to piggyback on Whitney, I work with Whitney, so I'm in Nashville also. We work for the same group. We're only allowed tables of 6 right now. That's the biggest amount at our tables, unfortunately. And so no mingling either. So even if you had 24, you can't use your private room because they can't get up and mingle. We actually have to ask you to get up and leave if you get up and mingle. I had a poor guy who wanted to propose to his girlfriend this Saturday, and we had to decline that because I'm like, you're gonna want to hug your family and get up, but you know, physically we can do it at 4 tables 6 feet apart, but unfortunately you guys can't get up and walk around and, you know, talk to each other. So right now phase 2 for us is 6 tops 6 feet apart. So we're at 50%. Technically we're at 75%, but that doesn't actually increase our head count because it's still at 6 top tables 6 feet apart. So we couldn't actually go to 75% because it's the same as 50. So it's really not anything different for us. But we were supposed to get information today about moving to phase 3, but we've also had an uptick in cases after the Memorial Day weekend. So they've had to put that on hold for over the weekend and at least a few more days after that. So, Nashville, we're kind of stuck in limbo here, but hopefully we have a lot of, like Whitney said, a lot of bookings coming up. We have 6 restaurants here in Nashville that we work with. So we're hoping to see some traffic at least by August or September. So that's what I got.
So one question I had for you, Nicole, and then both you, Whitney and Carol, is you guys said you're seeing like an uptick in inquiries, and then Nicole, you had mentioned that you guys were completely booked for your first day. What did you guys do to promote? Was it just like organic and through social? Or
Yeah. So actually, it was pretty interesting. Because, obviously we have so many furloughed, like for us, we're like, people think of Tao and they think just typically of the nightclubs. But we actually used all of our amazing VIP hosts that have really strong relationships, not just in Vegas, but all over the world. And we're just posting like continuously on social media. Basically like, we use it, you can sit with us, like a play off the Mean Girls, you can't sit with us. Which I thought was so cute. Yeah, I thought it was really cute. So they were really pushing, the social media out there, and then the VIP hosts to incentivize them as well to, try and get more people working again. Basically for whatever referrals, they are being incentivized if they actually book a reservation and come. And honestly, it was so successful. Like, I could not believe how quickly we were sold out for that, our first day. Saturday, we're almost sold out. Sunday, we have about 80 covers or so, which is normal for a Sunday anyhow. It's not super busy. But yeah, so they were really just trying to push it. They didn't even ask us to push it on our social media at all. They're just really trying to get people out there that have like, a lot of followers and things like that. They know a lot of people in California. And I thought it was brilliant. It was such a good idea because we can't even do the groups right now anyhow. So you might as well try and get some people in there some way, try and pay some people. I thought it was a really, really good idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we are using social media as well as a key for our marketing, but we have so many regulars in Nashville that they're just wanting to come back out, but it's not, and then we have a downtown location that Whitney works with, and that's Etch, and so, they're kind of, famous chef kind of thing. So everybody wants to come back there, but no businesses are really open downtown as far as for lunches. So we're seeing more anniversary dinners, celebration dinners, and more than anything down there. But in our neighborhood restaurants, those are staying fairly busy just because people are ready to get back out and, go out to dinner. But our staff still has to wear a mask and we have to go through the whole protocol. So I don't know about you, Nicole, if your staff has to wear a mask in Vegas, but our staff, we have to go through the whole entire rigmarole with them. So
yeah, we actually had our company sent out this huge document. They're calling it the Phoenix Initiative, like, the Phoenix Prizes. I thought it was cute too. Somebody very clever up there in marketing. But I loved it because they went through literally every single step from like just even coming into work. Do you take the subway? How do you get to work? Like, they literally went through every single piece all the way down to what you do when you leave. Where do you put your PPE? Throw it in a paper bag and it's put in this trash can. They're going to be changed every half hour. I mean, I was really, really impressed. It personally made me feel a lot safer too, about whenever we're allowed to go back to work. So I kind of doctored it up and took out things that maybe a client wouldn't necessarily need to see. Certain aspects, they had on there, like if you still need unemployment, if you need food stamps, if you need this or that. I took those things out and then added some personal things towards like special events. And I've also just been sending it out to every meeting planning company that I know of, all of my clients that I've worked with for 10 years or so. And like people are like, great, okay, we're going to be in town for CES. You know, the trends, honestly, my corporate groups are like, our travel's banned for the rest of 2020. But 2021 is looking pretty strong. Even starting in January, we were worried about losing CES. So we're super excited about that. But yeah, we have all of the we have all of the PPE, the gloves. I can't remember who said their restaurant was doing the different colored gloves for the different steps of service.
That was Holly.
Yeah, I just thought that was such a great idea. So that's something that I shared with them too, because I feel like even though the guests may not notice it, it's great for your management team to make sure that you're staying on top of, you know, all of the new requirements and like kind of getting used to our new norm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And Nicole, I don't know about if you guys have gotten it yet from Tao. So Zoom is opening tonight, so we're a day ahead. We're opening up with the hotel. And the Cosmopolitan, we're all in the same umbrella. Nicole and I are in a very similar situation with the hotel where we're businesses within the business. So in order to even get into our building, our staff, everything, there's checks. They're getting PPE gear before at the shuttles. So they can't enter the buildings anymore. They can't be dropped off. They have to go through specific entrances, which is great. And then they did this very intense training that everybody had to go through. And I'm sure you saw that from Mario, but as of last night, they gave us some uplifting news that the Southern Nevada Health Department changed a few things for us, even though we're still in phase 2, but they were allowed to have guests of 10 at one table. So that's exciting news for us in events, because a lot of us do have these larger private dining rooms, so we can still seat maybe 20 in a private dining room where we used to seat 50. So we're changing our capacities and going around and measuring and making sure everything's okay. And we are seeing a lot of inquiries for large parties, which on the restaurant side, which is very hopeful, I think, for us for events for the summer. Summer's generally a slower time in the event world. It's primarily social here in Las Vegas, and so there's a lot of concern without the clubs and the pool parties and all the things that drive our business and live entertainment if we were going to see these large groups, but looks like we are.
Are your groups allowed to mingle, like if you do a 20 top?
Yeah.
Yes, in private dining.
Yeah, we can't, we're encouraging them not to, but we are not going to actually ask anyone to leave for that. They kind of just said it was recommended but not required, because we had a meeting with the health department. So that was good. But I believe as of yesterday, we're still going to keep our bar closed. So, you know, you can't sit and order at the bar for now, at least, and, you know, try and avoid those big crowds around the bar while people are kind of checking in, you know.
The same at Zuma as well. If you've ever been to a Zuma, we basically have live action stations in the middle of our restaurants. We have a robata with a counter, and we have a sushi with a counter next to the private dining rooms, next to semi-private, and then we also have the bar area. So we're, last I heard, we're not going to be seating those either, to avoid that. But it's very unclear, which I think is unfortunate, the information coming in. It keeps saying we can have 50 people in an area, but they keep kind of deflecting whether, you know, the difference between like a cocktail party, because we have seen some requests come in and people just want to get together and have some drinks. They don't necessarily want to have dinner. And can we tell them no? Can we tell them yes? Because if we can accommodate them in private dining, should we, could we? It's kind of an interesting discussion going back and forth. So we're still waiting for the final answer, because it really wasn't laid out in the memo that we got last night.
Well, and we're having that, we're having that issue in Nashville too. And it's like, I have listened, it's not laid out in the phases. We have reached out to the health department as a company, and they have said no tables larger than 6, no mingling. But like, I've been on email threads with other sales managers. They're like, oh, I'm booking parties at 25. And I'm like, you better be careful, because they are doing lots of, we heard too, lots of like shaming and taking photos and then reporting it. And it's like, we don't want to be anywhere near that. We don't need any negative things
Well,
on
and they
social
can take
media
away
right
our
now.
license too. They
You can lose your
threaten
business
if they walk
license.
in, they'll take away your business license if they see a group mingling.
Right.
So, and
Yeah.
when we watch these press conferences, like I watched the one this morning, it is very vague. So we wait, you know, customers start calling immediately after. They're like, okay, so gatherings of 50 or less. And we're like, well, that's for outside, but
Right.
restaurants have their own rules and we have to decipher it and, you know, wait for the owners to call the health department and break it down for us. And it's not even close to what they're saying.
It's hard. In Las Vegas, we have a lot of, the health department's very, 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 very strong here in Las Vegas. I mean, they're always checking. We have very rigorous stuff because obviously we're based on tourism and the amount of people we can have in a city at one time, just traveling from wherever else. But at any rate, we have somebody designated to our hotel that's all Paul does is checks all the time, pre-checks, checks, and then they pay outside companies to come in and make sure they're in alignment. And so it's coming from Paul, so who also works with the health department, who's on property today as well. So they're there, so we're able to like ask them right there, what is this? What is that? This is right. So luckily there's that working relationship with the health department where we see them all the time. It's not, you know, I know in some places it's not as checked as frequently, but the Cosmopolitan gets checks every 90 days in every venue. So it's a lot in general. So I'm sure we'll be able to come back with some more information after today about just here in Las Vegas, I mean, in our jurisdiction.
Yeah, it's been really interesting because, you know, the restaurants can operate at 50% capacity. Granted, you're having different time blocks that you're booking people in, but you have no guarantee that they're going to be out by a certain time. So it's kind of weird because you can have like, let's say Beauty and Essex, we can have 400 people, let's say, you know, even 200, whatever. But then we can't book a buyout of 200. It can only be 50 people. So that's like another gray area. And then they were saying, you know, I'm glad Rebecca mentioned the 10 people because we were told 8 yesterday, I want to say it was. But even so, we had asked, well, what about our, you know, private dining room? It can seat up to 26. And they were like, oh yeah, you can have the 26 in there in one table because it's 6 feet away from the other tables. But that completely contradicts everything else that they're telling us. So it's just, you know, a private event side has been a little challenging because it's definitely not like cut and dry, black and white. It's very gray. You know, some people are doing it this way, others are doing it that way. And even for cocktail receptions, we have got quite a few requests. There's a lot of weddings in the summer because the rates are super low for the hotels out here because it is a slower time. So we've had a lot of wedding requests, and we're basically taking our past appetizers and going to try to do stations with it, which I don't really love that look, but it's kind of what we have to do right now. So that also takes up a lot more space. And then again, you know, trying to figure out, well, I can actually only do 10 people now because I have to have room for the food stations and this and that. So that's been definitely interesting too.
I have a question for Nicole and or Rebecca. So what I've seen just from being out was because the tables need to be spaced out and, you know, not the booths that are like, you know, not movable. They've actually been using the PDRs as main dining room space because there's so much space that they can't use. Are you guys going to be doing that as well?
Yeah. So right now we don't have any actual bookings like for group dining until September. So for the time being, unless we happen to get a request in, we are going to try and use that and split, at least do 2 tables in one of our private dining rooms and maybe a few more in one of the bigger ones, which is great. And then, you know, if somebody happens to inquire and they have a good budget, we'll try and get them booked in there. But I think the demand is just so much more higher for what we consider main dining versus
Right.
dining. So yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Same at Zuma, Chelsea. It's the first time, you know, it's funny when we're in peak season, I'm like, well, I love our beautiful wood tables. I'm like, I can't move them. And now they actually separate apart. So in the private dining room itself, we can actually have 25 people separated with 6 feet. So it's been really cool. And then they get the view as well. And then some people are expressing that they feel better in private, like we're getting more requests for private dining. So it's a kind of a gray area in my mind, because while obviously we want to do it, we still want to keep that exclusivity of private dining rooms, and using it as main dining room is always what we do whenever we don't have a group in there. But pre-booking it is another thing. So it's kind of a scenario we're playing out. Obviously, we're going to accommodate any guests we have right now, but we don't want people to get used to requesting their tables. Most restaurants don't do that, but especially Zuma, we don't allow that. We have so many different areas of vibe dining, like with our Red Lounge and our main and our counters and stuff. It's very intricate. People get really into it in our establishment. So, but yeah, we're using them. I mean, why not? It's great space.
Perfect. Yeah, I was just curious because I had seen it and I wanted to know if that was kind of like the general vibe with, the other restaurants in town and then outside of Vegas as well.
Has anyone talked about lowering their pricing or minimums at all? I know we personally are trying not to avoid, or we're trying to avoid, I should say, lowering our pricing. But obviously, if a client says, I want to book your private dining room and I can only spend $1,500, like I'm going to book it 100%. But we definitely don't want to put it out there that, we're going from our lowest menu at 90 to 45. Have those people come back again next year and say, well, I got this menu for $45. I want the same deal,
Yeah, we have lowered our minimums here in Nashville, as well as Huntsville, in our Memphis market, but it's kind of a case-by-case thing. We're not really putting it out there right now. I mean, I talked to our director of marketing the other day and I was like, right now I just want butts in the seats, and I'd rather have the room booked than it said empty, because even if it is empty, we're not really seeing the amount of covers to fill it up for multiple turns. So, I mean, take Etch, for example, that's our downtown concept. It typically would do like 300 on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And, right now we're doing about 80. So it's a big jump. But one thing I wanted to show you guys is we've got these cute little table tents that say this table is closed for social distancing.
Cool.
And we basically have this on like every other table, just so that people know, that they don't have to worry about being someone near them and all of that. So
I like that. We also got table tents, and it just shows like after it's been cleaned. I don't know exactly what it says because I haven't seen it in person yet. But so basically after it's been cleaned and sanitized, someone will come and put that on there. So that way the guests know they're sitting down to like a completely sanitized table. Totally not necessarily, I don't think, but I think it was a nice touch, just a little extra,
I think that's great, especially for the tables that are closed for social distancing, because what I actually saw at a venue last night, not the same, I hopped around last night because I was just so excited to be out, but they actually took like painter's tape and did an X, which I don't think is very inviting. This is already such, an issue, and it's already, people are very aware. So I do think like, doing anything cute or personalized or, on brand for, your venue, I think that's great. And it's just like a little gentle touch reminder and not like, do not sit here.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, I watched a Restaurant Rise webinar earlier today, and they were saying like, don't use like caution tape that police use to like, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, please say people haven't done that, but I know they have. And just like all these crazy things. And I was like, wow. I mean, no.
Yeah,
like
it's awful. Scary. They're gonna scare people away. There's still caution tape on playgrounds in New Hampshire, and it makes me so sad. Every time we drive by one, I'm like, that's the saddest thing I've ever seen. Like,
yeah.
Like, especially for a child to see that.
Yeah, right?
Right.
I definitely wouldn't want to see it at a restaurant.
The really interesting thing last night, so gaming opened in Vegas last night, and some people, it was like 12:01, And I was out at a bar going past the machines, and people had actually reserved the machines. And I think one of them said that like all the machines had been reserved for like multiple days. People called in and like they were ready to go.
That's crazy. People are waiting. Wow. Wow. I guess they need their fix. It's been 2 months.
It's been too long. It's such an interesting industry. We took my father-in-law out to dinner on Monday for his 72nd birthday. And we went to a local restaurant here, and it was near their home, and they wanted to go. And so we went, and we actually had the craziest service experience probably we've ever had. And it takes a lot for my husband to say anything to management, since he's a general manager and deals, puts out fires all day. But wow, everything from the server kept taking off her mask to like pulling out her phone and showing us like baby pictures, to like not replacing glassware, like all the steps that we know like in our minds. But it was really interesting because this is a mom and pop shop in a retirement area of the city, and the clientele was all in their 60s, 70s, and I just felt so bad that when my husband talked to the manager, he's actually not able to go in because he is in quarantine, because he's high risk or something. So he's not going into the restaurant, and it just kind of shows without that leadership what's going to happen when your staff isn't properly trained. And a lot of these places, when they could open on May 9th, they just kind of opened and did their best, and there's nobody like controlling it. But it made us kind of give us a bird's eye view of what the guest is going to see and what the guest is going to feel like. We had another experience where we had a phenomenal time, and they did a great job at another local place. So I'm curious to see what it's going to be like as we open, because I know all eyes are really on us, even more so in hospitality than ever. So very, very interesting. I'm not even nervous of it, but because she kept saying, oh, I don't want to wear this mask, this virus is making us all crazy, is making me crazy. I'm like, wait, do you have the virus? Like, hold on, wait a second. Why are we talking about the virus? Don't talk about it at dinner. Like, what are we doing? We're celebrating. It was interesting.
The one thing we're doing at our restaurants, and it's gotten great reviews, and it's showed up on Yelp and all that, but we have one person assigned, and it's a manager at each of our restaurants that is strictly a cleanup guy. So every 30 minutes, they are walking around and sanitizing any high use areas like doorknobs, anything that the guests will touch. We're using disposable menus, and but it's been, we get a lot of feedback from customers, because they see this one person every 30 minutes just walking around wiping, and that's all they do is just wipe and clean, and just, it's been really, really nice to hear from the customers like, oh, this was our favorite spot before, and now we feel more comfortable going there because we know that they're taking all the precautions and steps and stuff like that, and the sanitizers and all that jazz. But yeah, that's really helped with our customers feel comfortable. As soon as they walk in, they see that one person who that's all they do. That's what their assignment is. So
yeah, Whitney and Carol, I don't know if you've seen this too, but I think I saw earlier this week, one of the Nashville hospitality companies, Strategic Hospitality, they have a few restaurants here, has started. They just reopened, and they were written up in Wall Street Journal for what they're doing, and they have kind of like leaned in, like Nicole was saying, Tao has done, to these restrictions and how to like kind of lean into that and really own it. And they have their cleaning person in they've turned them into like a mascot. They have them in a navy blue jumpsuit going around, and it says like, tried to just find it. What does it say? It says Agent of Clean on the back of their jumpsuit, and that's like their sole thing. And they've, that fits with some brands, definitely kind of their thing. Probably not at like Char or Etch, but you can find
maybe Amerigo. Yeah, I love it. That's so cute.
If you can find ways to lean into that, I think it helps, and it just like eases people's mind, but also keeping it,
fun and lighthearted. I like that. That's really cute. We'll have to pass that on.
Okay, well, cool. So another thing that we wanted to talk about, and you guys, some of you had already mentioned this a little bit earlier, and it was in our survey, but here in Georgia, I'm based in Atlanta, bars were actually able to reopen this week, which is super exciting. And while I haven't been to any yet, I saw on social media and, you know, just following, getting emails from some of the places that I go to a lot, what different people were doing. And I've seen like some bars have, you know, props like in between different seating areas, or they have like the stools like set aside and then are just accommodating groups based on their size, but then like spacing out in between any other guests that might be at the bar. Some are doing reservations. So I think we wanted to pose the question to this group, if anybody does have a bar space open, what you're doing, how you're handling it, and if anyone's preparing, maybe how you're thinking about what you're going to do with your bar space.
I'll chime in. Our bar tables are open, but not our bar counter. So we're allowed to use our bar tables and they get set frequently, but still our bar top is closed, but we have prepared to pull, bar stools away for single diners, and then two top bar stools together, and then space them apart when we are able to reopen the bar. But we've pulled away the bar stools for now, just to deter that. But the tables are available, but that's it.
Are you finding that even though you've pulled away the bar stools, that people are still going up to the bar counter to try to order?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 100%. People try.
Are they allowed to do that or no?
No.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
One of my
And they want to pick their table.
You're
know,
allowed
they're
to
like,
do it in
"This-"
Las Vegas. You
Oh,
can order
you
from
are?
the bar. Yeah, you can't sit in groups at the bar 6 feet apart, but they did allow bars to open that don't serve food here.
Oh.
Interesting. One of my friends is a bartender, and they said that last night it looked like New Year's Eve. Nobody was social distancing, and he was so scared because the bar was packed because everybody was like, yes, it's open. And a lot of them have gaming at the bar top as well out here. So it's hard, I know some friends that work at like a PT's is really big out here. It's like a chain, and they kind of just remove some bar stools, but still same thing, everybody's going to come at the bar and cluster. So that's kind of been challenging, especially for the bartenders, to make sure that, they're still doing their job to keep people at their social distancing. But, you obviously don't want to turn any business away right now too, as someone who's trying to make money. So I totally get it. They're in a rock and a hard place.
And they also had to move all their speed wells and all their, their normal tools to do their job quickly and efficiently at a bar have now all been moved back. So they can no longer make their drinks and grab their stuff and touch, or everything's wrapped. Everything is like totally different. Your fruit can't be exposed. And so
do you have to keep bottles wrapped like all the time?
Yeah, everything's wrapped basically in 6 feet back from 6 feet further back from the bar. So like everything's more condensed together. But yeah, it's wrapped, sanitized, put back where they used to leave it open, your stock well, your signature drinks and whatever. So I know at Zuma there was a lot of talk about it because we have a fantastic cocktail program, which if you guys have never been, you gotta check it out. But it already takes a while to make these drinks. And so now it's even more like, how are we gonna do this? So I do feel for the bartenders right now, because I feel like more so than the servers at the tables, they're going to be the ones with the challenges of people coming in, not, being all hyped up and being excited. So I don't know how Zuma is going to handle that. I think they're going to see how it goes in the beginning, and then we'll get some standards going on to just protect them, because they get hit all the time anyway. That it's people walk up to a bar, they want to drink right away. So we shall see.
Yeah, that's tough, especially with craft cocktails. I mean, the muddling and the spritzing and, and all the things that go along with that, and all the ingredients and all the different liquors and the mixers. And I can't even imagine. I feel like you're going to need the same amount of bartenders on that you would for like a full regular night with 50% capacity, because it's going to take them longer to make the drinks.
Yep.
But yeah, that's tough. Can't even imagine it.
Two other things that I've seen here in Atlanta. There's a restaurant in my neighborhood where the bar itself isn't open to sit at, but kind of like Rebecca was saying, like people can still walk up and order drinks, and they actually have these like fun little squares in like 3 different parts of the bar where like essentially it's kind of like some grocery stores and like convenience stores are doing, where it tells you like where you can wait in line. So it's kind of like pre-spaced out. So the bartenders can stay spread out if the bar is big enough. And then another thing that I've seen a lot of folks do, and this is kind of like a topic that we had talked about last week also, is now that it's warmer out and outdoor dining is becoming more popular depending on where you are in the country, a lot of places have moved bars outside. So like they have multiple little like bar stations set up on their patio. That way, whether or not people can like go up to those, or it's just for like the bartenders to bring some stuff out there and make the drinks, and then the servers to come and grab them. That seems like a good thing. And also, I forget who was talking about this last week. Kate, maybe it was you were saying how you like went somewhere and they allowed you to grab drinks and then you could like wait outside. So I've seen a lot of places that you know are trying to like control the flow, and maybe they have like the block seating, have little bars outside, like you would almost see at an event or a wedding or something, and that's where they're serving people ahead of time or like throughout the service.
Howie, did you want to say something about the bar?
I'd love to. Hold on, I'm trying to work out my electronic stuff here. Anyway, I'm Howie. I am the multiple things. I'm operations manager, the full food and beverage manager, and the head bartender at a distillery that's opening up in Killington this summer, but as part of a hotel. So we have a lot going on. I've been listening in on all these conversations the last couple of weeks. They've been great because we haven't opened yet. We haven't even thought about the service part of the bar. I'm just in my head, as long as we're masked and clean and gloved, we'll be fine. But tomorrow, the governor is going to tell us about the indoor dining regulations, what he's going to allow. Right now, it's outdoors. Tables have to be 10 feet apart from center to center. No more than 10 people at a table, and no more than 2 households. But that's changing to 25 now, so we'll know more. But we're just planning to do social distancing of groups of like, you know, if couples come to the bar, they could sit at the bar, but I won't let anyone be closer, and they'll have to space it out, and then there's no more bar seats. Right now, that's kind of our plan. So haven't thought about the whole whether I need to have all my glassware wrapped in plastic or not. So thank you for sharing all the stuff you guys got going on, because you're a little bit ahead of us.
Howie, your bar there is going to be pretty big, right? I've seen pictures. It's a long.
It's going to seat. We're allowed to seat 100.
Looks like it is. Picture.
Yeah, we're allowed to seat 100, and okay. But in the main pub area we could seat about 70.
Gotcha. That's
at normal before all this stuff. So we're not really sure yet. We keep changing the floor plan based on like every week. So. But we have another level that was just going to be a mixed space, which we can expand. Like I think I'll be able to fit 100 with social distancing in July when we open, if we're allowed to have indoor seating, hopefully. So, but we have no idea where our business is going to be. We're in the top of a mountain. Yeah. So we'll see.
I mean, I'd visit the top of a mountain right now. So.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. I just drove from there. No, it's kind of funny. I know. And it's like half my drive is no cell service. So you guys, Zoom kept going in and out. Well, you'll have to come visit when we're open.
I think it's interesting because you guys are both touching on something. I think big places in New England that are summer kind of, you know, Killington, obviously winter resort, but also summer resort. I think people are starting to look, like at least in my town, I know anecdotally that they're looking for summer retreats, even if it means renting a house somewhere. I feel like things are sold out, and there's limited passes to, if you want a beach pass to places, at least in my area. And so I think there will actually be the places that do open. I think, and I think Nicole, you were saying that it was like New Year's Eve last night at a bar that opened. Like,
yeah.
You know, as things come, people are eager to get out and be there. So I think that things will be at capacity quite a bit, you know, even on top of a mountain, Howie.
Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Chelsea.
I was gonna say I definitely agree with that. Being in Vegas, it's Indians in Vegas. It's now, and instead of going somewhere like California, which obviously it's not ideal at this moment with everything going on, I'm getting in the car on Saturday and I'm driving to Sedona because, you know, things are open. It's a smaller town. I feel comfortable going there, you know, and being able to kind of finally get away. So I do think people are looking for like those little retreats that are, you know, a few hours away, but maybe not necessarily like, you know, their top pick, but now everybody's just so excited and eager that they're looking for different places to go.
I totally agree. I mean, even this weekend, my son has a baseball tournament in Arizona, and originally we didn't want to go because we felt, you know, I'd try and shelter. I'm probably too crazy. I still am sanitizing all of my groceries. I admit it, I am a psycho right now. But then we were like, you know, we've been stuck at home for so long, and we are really excited to go out of town. We're staying at a hotel, and I was like, honestly, the hotels are probably the most clean and safe places to be right now. We tried to look into getting like a house through VRBO. They're all booked out. We looked at renting a cabin in Utah. Same thing. Like they are sold out till like September, which is amazing. It's really incredible to see everybody is trying to get out and go and support like even these smaller towns and, you know, just to leave and regenerate the economy. You know, it's really exciting. Not trying to get the cabin, but it's okay.
I have a question about travel for everybody in their respective companies because I was wondering if your company, because I know different governors have said different things about traveling outside of your state or your county and whatnot. If you travel, do you need to inform your employer that you're traveling, or is there anything like that going on?
No, not in Nashville. They just reinstated our vacations actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just curious to see how, because I know some people like with tracing and all that, it could be unique to Zuma since we are such an international company. So they probably need to know a little bit more because people, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's still international travel still grounded, right? I don't know. I'm not trying to book a plane anywhere out of the country, but
yeah,
there's a lot of questions about that. I think it's still, so
I think unless it's like deemed essential, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But my husband doesn't work in the food industry, but he works for like a big company, and their policy is basically just like if you travel and you travel to certain places, or if you travel out of the country, you have to quarantine afterwards. So you basically just need to let them know that like when you come back, you would be staying home for 2 weeks and working from home, which I know is totally different in this industry. It's not something people can do.
You could just work from home. Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, there's been a lot of questions about it, which I find really interesting.
Yeah.
But curious.
Well, on the private events side, I know that we kind of started to talk about private events a little bit more, and some of the folks on the call had shared that they're starting to see more inquiries coming in, which is awesome. Has anybody had a private event that they hosted and wanted to share like how it went and you know, maybe like what went really well and what they had to do differently?
I can share. I heard from a customer today in South Carolina in Charleston, and she said I tried to get her on the call and get details, but she didn't respond. But she messaged me that they had their first event last night. So I don't know anything other than that. It is not in their triple seat account. I tried to stalk there also. So I don't know what type of event this was, but it was not in triple seat. And I don't have any other details than that, but I do have personally, I know somebody who had booked a private event of 10 people somewhere here in Nashville in a small private room. It's a family, so I guess they felt like fine being all together. And then most of them had been quarantining together anyways. So I guess like they were fine. It's one long table. They said they were fine to sit together. And then they put the other folks like 6 feet away at the kind of a little bit further down the long table, which I think when you're seated is actually not as far as you think. So, and then in addition to all the other stuff that the restaurant was already doing, but they could have, I guess they couldn't have been seated in the main dining room because they're a larger party, but I think they specifically wanted to be in the private room to be like more quarantined because they had some elderly folks and things like that. They did book something.
That's awesome.
I know technically in Nashville, the table itself has to be 6 feet apart, but the chairs don't fall in that 6 feet situation. So that's where it is wonky. But yeah, you're right. That isn't technically a 6 foot, but the table itself is, but the chairs don't have to be.
Always something.
Are you guys starting to see movement on like holiday parties and that sort of thing from people also in terms of like the inquiries or things that you have in the books?
Actually, yeah, this morning I got a lead and I got so excited for a holiday party and I was like, yes, this is it. And I looked at the company where they were from and they were based in Huntsville. And I was like, I bet you they want char in Huntsville. And I reached out and she was like, oh yeah, I couldn't figure out how to do it on the Huntsville page. And I was like, okay. So I looped in the sales manager for Huntsville, but I actually was on a Zoom call sometime this week. I can't remember. And there was a local hotel that reached out to me this morning that said that their restaurant is not reopened yet and they have an event booked and they need 2 lunches and a dinner. And so I've got kind of the whole plan written out because in my mind I'm like, we're doing this and I'm going to present it to the GM when he gets in at 4. But yeah, we're starting to get those inquiries, but we haven't done anything yet.
Is it corporate or social? I'm curious.
This one is I'm assuming it is corporate because it's meetings. She didn't say though, but I was like, I don't even care. I was like, yes, we can do it. I mean, I don't know, but maybe just wait. And she was like, it's fine. Let me know when you find out. I'm like, okay, got it.
We actually got a lead for 500 people for a holiday party at one of my venues, Marquee, at the Cosmopolitan, which was the most exciting thing because I think it's the first real lead I've had this whole time. And also it's great because we actually don't get a lot of holiday parties out here in Vegas. If you are a local company, you're going to go somewhere local. Getting you to the Strip is near impossible. I've been with the company for almost 10 years and I think we've had honestly maybe 10 holiday parties in the whole time I've been here. So very exciting about the 500, and it is corporate. They're coming in from California with their employees and their plus ones, and I'm like, let's do it. What's your budget? Okay.
Yeah. Did they ask you any questions about like your space and how you're going to space people out, or were they just like, we want to have a party with you?
Actually, you know what's funny? I was just looking at her email. So her only like major question was, she said, we're planning this event from Arizona, so it is critical that we have great communication and trust in the event planner. That was it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's awesome. Like, obviously they're probably not planning on coming out for a site visit is what I'm assuming, which is great, but we have amazing 360 tours. We were really trying to do some kind of a virtual site visit with another company, but the cost was just astronomical. So we're going to try and do like a Zoom meeting and share the screen with our 360 tours and walk them through, which I think will be great. And we even kind of threw it out there of like having our marketing team record our different site visits for different rooms and different, you know, setups and things like that. So that way, if we have somebody like the 500 holiday party, you know, I can send them like my virtual site visit. So that is kind of another idea we're looking at. But I thought it was interesting. The priority wasn't even what are you doing to keep me safe? It's I'm not coming out there and tell the party. I need to be able to trust you. I was like, okay, cool.
That's awesome.
One other thing that we're doing in Nashville is virtual cooking classes with our chef, which is really fun. And I got an inquiry today for a group of women. They're all like attorneys and doctors, and they're all in this women-based group, and there's 40 of them, and they wanted to do a chef virtual dinner. And we've done, just public ones where our chef does Zoom or it's on YouTube. You can do it either way. But it's really cool because you can cook slower on YouTube and pause it, or you can watch it live with him. And we have another chef, female chef, and she's doing 2 this week paired with wine. And they pick up the cooking ingredients on Friday, and then they do the dinner that Friday night. So that's been really successful for us. And now we're having groups. I think it's very cool that they're reaching out because they can't all come to the restaurant to meet, and they're a group of women that want to hang out. And so they asked to do a Zoom cooking class, which I think is really fun. So it's another way for us to generate some business and keep our regulars happy.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish there was a place doing that near me. I would 100% do that. Does anyone else have any? We're approaching 4:30, but we don't have to end at 4:30 if people have other questions or other things they want to talk about.
I just want to bring up the survey again. Some of you might have taken this last week, so thanks in advance. We're doing a survey on just what the hospitality industry is doing post-COVID. Where are you at? What kind are you open? What are you offering for events? That kind of thing. And then when we get enough respondents, we can share that data out with you guys through our blog, but also share it with publications that cover our industry to show them, like, look, events are ramping back up again. People are calling and booking and making inquiries, so they want to plan events. So it's definitely not going away. So the link is right there in the chat, but thanks in advance for taking the survey.
Yeah, feel free to share that with anyone in the industry, that your colleagues that aren't on the calls as well.
All right, well, if no one else has any other questions or comments, thank you guys so much once again for joining us. We do have, Rachel, do you want to throw that poll in really quick?
Oh, yeah.
We thought, this conversation went really well. Last week, I feel like it was a little slow. So I thought maybe we might switch up the conversation next week. But I do think this week went well. So if you guys want to stick with the same conversation, that's fine. If you want to talk about other things, just type it in the poll, and we can always talk about everything. All the topics. Did they come through yet?
Yeah, wait one more second.
Ooh, a lot of people want to talk about marketing strategies to generate events business in a post-COVID world. Azure, that's all you. Well, we can do that. We'll also talk a little bit about reopening next week, but we'll talk about that subject in depth. We'll bring some good resources, some topics to throw out there. So I think that will be fun. And again, thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you want to send out, when I send you guys the invite every week, once you've joined once, I continue to send you the invite every Monday. If you want to forward that invite along to anyone else in the industry that isn't a Triple Seat user or hasn't been on these calls, please feel free to do that, or colleagues or anyone else that you think might be interested. We've even had, what was that, like work at home mom that was like, I just want to support the restaurant industry, and she joined in on one. So we don't care who they are. If they want to join, it's great. So yeah. But yeah, so thank you guys again, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.